for Bring Your Own Lunch. Personal stories about the business with my daddy, Dave T. Koenig.
All right, come on in, have a seat. Welcome, happy holidays. This is the Bring Your Own Lunch podcast at BringYourOwnLunch.com, the magic of iTunes, the majesty of Stitcher. And however you found your way to download this podcast, I thank you. As you heard at the top, my name is Dave T. Koenig. I'm an actor, writer, director, producer, comedian, all-around swell dude, and avid, loyal Santa Clausian. And of course, I'm the host of the podcast you're listening to right now. BYOL is the hashtag we use on the various social media platforms. You can follow us on Twitter at BYOL Podcast, like us on Facebook, facebook.com/BringYourOwnLunch. And of course, you can go to our own website, BringYourOwnLunch.com, where you can find out all the information about the past guests we've had on this show. It's been a really great 2014. We are wrapping up the year. And, of course, it's the holiday time. I hope you're having a great holiday season, whether you celebrate Hanukkah or Christmas or Kwanzaa or Ramadan or anything or nothing for that matter. My only hope is that you're doing well and that you're happy and healthy and enjoying the rest of the year and looking forward to 2015, which sounds like a ridiculous number when you say it like that. But that's where we are. Time keeps on spinning into the future, as someone very smart once said. Now, because this is the holidays, I certainly do want to mark the occasion. I have mentioned on the podcast before that my dad was raised Jewish, my mom was raised Catholic, and so we had an amalgam of those two influences growing up. We didn't really focus on any religious elements of either Judaism or Christianity, but we certainly loved the holidays, and this time of year was always great. We celebrated Hanukkah by lighting the candles, and then we had Christmas, and Christmas was always my number one, but I loved the whole idea of this time of year where you go from one thing to the next, all the way into New Year's, and it was always a great time of celebration, and that's what I'm doing now. And usually I do some sort of spiel, give you a little bit of an update of what's going on with me. I have a couple quick notes, but really what I want to do is continue a tradition that I started several years ago. It actually goes back to my college days at WRHU in Hempstead, New York, where I cut my teeth on the radio during my undergraduate years, studying broadcasting at Hofstra University, co-hosting a show called the WRHU Morning Wake Up Call. And I co-hosted that with a guy named Butch. And we had a sidekick named the Hotshot Brian Scott and a host of other people who I will not bother naming some for fear of leaving out others. But those the three of us kind of did that show together. And there was one guy who was part of our rotating cast of characters, a guy who did traffic reporting for us called Dom Marino. And for some reason, he decided he wanted his name to be Billy Ray Dom Marino. So we did a Christmas special the last day of the year before Christmas, and it was fun. And one of the things that I did was a reading of the classic Yes, Virginia, There Is a Santa Claus. And instead of Virginia, I made it Yes, Billy Ray Dom, There Is a Santa Claus. And I love doing it. It went fine. And it started a little bit of an odd tradition for me. And as you may have heard, if you were a real stickler of this podcast, I did a podcast called the Commercials Free Podcast with my buddy Ken Pond a few years ago. And you can still hear those shows at thecommercials.tv. But the Christmas special we did that year, I decided to bring out of the mothballs, Yes, Virginia, There Is a Santa Claus, and I made that one, Yes, Ken, There Is a Santa Claus. But I'd like to do it one more time since I have a new podcast. It's time for a new rendition of that classic. It was actually a letter to the editor that was written by an 8-year-old girl, and she got a response from the newspaper that there is actually a Santa Claus. And this time I decided I'm going to do it straightforward, but I'm not going to do it now. I'll do it at the end of the show after the interview that I will give to you this week, which is with a very, very talented person, very, very hardworking individual, Katharine Heller. Katharine Heller is an actor, voiceover actor. She is a writer, and she's a comedian, and she's also an avid podcaster. She has started a couple of her own podcasts, the really successful Tell the Bartender, as well as the newer podcast, The Struggle Bus, and she tells us all about those. She's also a regular on the Keith and the Girl podcast, and that has given her an extra boost of notoriety in the podcast world. And Katharine, I've known for several years, and she's got a great history, and I learned a lot about her just sitting down with her. In fact, I learned that she, like I, come from a blended religious background. So one of her parents was Jewish, the other was Catholic. We don't actually get into that in the podcast. I only learned that heading out the door for apartment when I went to record the podcast. But Katharine's great. She's got a lot of really interesting things that she's been involved in. She's involved in she is and was involved with a project called Naked in the Fishbowl. And we find out from that experience how she got into SAG, which is a really unique experience. So just sit back and listen to Katharine tell us about how the intertwining aspects of this interesting career sometimes brings unexpected results. And I think there's something to be gained from listening to her personal story. And, as usual, take some notes. So I'm going to do the Christmas part of this podcast after Katharine's interview. But before I do that, there's a couple things I wanted to say. First of all, I did get a fun phone call just before the end of the year. You always like to start off a new year on the right foot, and I found out that I'll be doing an episode of The Following. That's a show on Fox with Kevin Bacon. I got the call on that one. I'm usually pretty reluctant to share too much info before something happens, but hey, it's an official booking, and I'm happy to say that 2015 sounds like it's starting off on the right foot. And so I'm grateful to that, and thank you to my managers, Sid Levin and Associates. That would be Sid Levin and Harold Luder for all their hard work for helping stuff like that happen. And it's been happening with a little more regularity. So knock on wood, maybe I will find myself regularly employed this year coming up, and that's always the goal, and that's always the hope. So that's what my hope is for 2015 professionally, as well as continuing this podcast and having fun. And speaking of podcasts, I also wanted to say thank you to Joe Pardo. Joe is the founder and host of the Dreamers podcast, and he and I sat down. He actually interviewed me. We found each other through Facebook, and so I did an interview with him that will be coming out in 2015 as well. So if you want to check out the Dreamers podcast in advance of my appearance on his podcast, you can go to his website, howtodream.co. That is howtodream.co. That's com without the M. Also, of course, before we go on, we got to thank Banuba, banuba.net, BANOOBA. That is the awesome band that provides the music at the beginning, middle, and end of this show. They are great. Go to their website, find out where they'll be playing live, and also download some of their music and get to know them. Become a fan like I am, because they add so much to this show each and every week. All right, let's get into it with Katharine Heller, actor, comedian, podcaster, friend, cool person, vegan. Anyway, here's Katharine. Enjoy. Now, before we talk about anything, I have to establish how much of a trooper you are.
Oh, thank you.
You are one day?
Less than a day.
Less than a day
yes.
Out of the hospital.
This time, as of yesterday, as of recording time, I was in a hospital bed.
What happened?
I got a kidney infection. This would be the second time this year I got a kidney infection.
Are you one of those prone to kidney infection types? Or?
Apparently I am. I found out this year. So I guess it comes from an untreated UTI, and then it goes up into your kidneys. But the thing is, I didn't know I had a UTI. I didn't have the symptoms. I didn't have burning or itching or any of the gross stuff. I don't want to get to So I did have that burning sensation. No, I haven't. And both times I just woke up with like 102 fever and excruciating pain. And yeah.
How long were you in the hospital this time for?
This time just one day.
Okay.
One night. 2 days and one night. Wow. Last time it was 3 days.
Yikes.
Yeah, tell me about it.
No, we're actually in your place. I won't say where to protect your, your modesty and stuff.
245 West Park South Avenue, Madison?
Well, now they know where to mail.
Suite number 20 awesome.
That sounded authentic.
I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah, no, that was good. Someone in Kansas is like, wow, that's now I know how to find her. So you can expect a stalker in your non-existent apartment. So you are living here by yourself, pretty much.
Yes, pretty much is a good way to put it. My boyfriend's here a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, you were talking about before, where he comes over and spoils your vegan abode here.
Totally. No, I am vegan, but I'm not an asshole about it. I'm not judgmental. I don't care what people put in their bodies. I choose to do it because it makes me feel good.
Good for you.
And I only have a few vegan friends, and I have most of my friends eat meat, and I don't care and whatever. But the only times I've met people who are assholes about it are people who complain about vegans. I've never met vegan assholes. Everyone's always like, how do you know the vegans in the room? Don't worry, they'll tell you. And it's like, you're the one making the joke.
Yeah.
I don't really give a shit. Are we allowed to curse?
Yeah, of course. Oh, come on, you know this game. There's no FCC going to come barreling down the door, and you can curse. You know, it's not marketed to kids because I think they'd find it boring. First of all,
that's true. So he eats meat, and I actually will cook meat for him. I love cooking, and he loves cooking. So normally when we want to cook something together, so tonight's dish is a miso soup with buckwheat noodles, tofu, and scallion, mushrooms, some other things, and he's going to bring over what he wants to throw in it afterwards.
Very nice.
And so everyone's happy.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that part of your world. I established the fact that he only sort of part-time lives here. When you woke up with this fever, what was he here or
no? He was actually working that night, and he bartends on the weekends.
Okay, so he was not here.
Oh no, sorry, no. This was it was a Sunday night. He'd just come back from his family's place, so he didn't stay with me that night.
And you were here with 100 and some odd degree fever.
I was by myself. One of the rare nights I'm by myself. And I woke up and my teeth were chattering so hard that when I put the thermometer in, I was afraid I was going to break the thermometer and die from mercury poisoning.
Wow,
which would be a really interesting way to die.
Yeah,
I'm not ready yet.
No, it's not your time. But that would be a blaze of glory.
It would be amazing. Yeah.
So how did you get? This is one of those stories that it fascinates me because you're here by yourself and you're in an emergency situation in let's say New York City. Mm-hmm. How did you handle it?
Like any other New Yorker would, I avoided it as much as possible.
Sure.
I went right back to sleep.
This may explain how you had an untreated UTI.
Exactly. No, I just assumed I wasn't in pain at the time. And I'd worked the day before, so I'd gone to bed at 11 and I felt fine. Like there were no symptoms. So I woke up with 102 fever and I thought, I guess I have the flu. And so that was it, and went on about my night.
Oh my.
And am I sounding okay?
Yeah, you're fine. You're good.
Okay.
No, I'm just fiddling around.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I went back to sleep and I woke up at 8 and I was like, went to an audition, as you do. I took Tylenol, fever went down. And I was thinking, and had to work later that night. I bartend now occasionally. So I was like, okay, I'll be able to work. But then just to be safe, since I have fever, maybe I should go get it checked out and go to the doctor's, but maybe after work or something like that.
Yeah.
So I went to the audition, and all of a sudden, halfway through the audition, I was like, what am I doing? So I left. I did a pretty good job, so I thought. I left and I went home, and at 1:00, I called my mom and I said, you know what? I think I might need to run to the ER because I have a really high fever. I've got some pain in my side. It's like when I had the kidney infection, but maybe it's different. I don't know. But just to be safe, I'll go to the hospital. But I'm going to go to work first and work this private party.
Oh, come on.
Right.
Oh, come on.
It was a private party from 5 to 7. I thought, I'll do that and then run to the ER. And then if it runs late, I'll sleep over at my mom's house.
Holy cow.
I know. And my boyfriend offered to leave. He was working that night as well. And he goes, I'll take off. I was like, no. This will be nothing. Don't you worry about a thing. I'm fine. And then at 2:00, I was like, what's this searing pain in my body taking over my entire side? And then by 2:30, I called into work and I texted my boss and I was like, I'm not feeling so hot, but maybe I can leave the party early. And she's like, what's the problem? I was like, 102 fever. She's like, So by the time I called her, she goes, we already got you a cover. Go to the hospital.
Oh, good for them.
Well, also good for me for finally not trying to be a hero.
Well, true, yes.
But to be fair, it happened that quickly.
Wow.
Yeah. So next thing you know, I'm in the hospital. And by the time I got there, the fever had just spiked. I was in so much pain. ERs don't really rush you into the ER unless you need to be. I was one of those people.
Oh, you bypassed all the people in the seats?
I sat down for 1 second. They took me in the little room, asked me the questions, and immediately looked at each other, and they were like, They put me back in the room for 1 more minute and then rushed me in, and immediately
Holy cannoli.
Hooked up to things like, dress on, getting a sonogram, getting a CAT scan, getting a urine sample, getting blood samples, morphine, everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Serious business.
Yes. And that doesn't normally happen when you go to the ER, as you normally.
No, they probably, would have, if it weren't as severe, you'd probably still be there.
Exactly.
We wouldn't have been able to do this.
Right. Whereas the first time I let it go for too many days, and that's why they had to keep me for longer, because it spread to my bladder.
Oh my gosh.
I know, right, guys? So point being, if you're sick, go to the doctor.
Yeah.
And then go to the ER. Go to the doctor first.
Yeah. Well, go to the doctor first, because, we established that you are somebody who is a very open book, and that's awesome. And that's what I've known about you for a long time. One reason somebody might be hesitant to go to the doctor and definitely to go to the ER is insurance reasons. I mean, is that something
I'm covered.
You're covered. Okay, good.
So I've no problem going.
So we're not having any fundraising events for you.
Oh, no.
For your one night in the hospital.
Okay.
Yeah.
One night only. Here's a Kickstarter for me being kicked in the kidneys. Giving them a kickstart. No, I am insured, so I have no problem going. But my thing is, I don't want to be overreacting, and I hate the ER. Right?
Yeah,
so
of course.
Who wants to go?
It's a hideous place to be, even if you need it.
This is a great story, though. So I was in the waiting room after I went in the first time, and they were like, "Okay, we're getting you right in." So I sat there a little smugly. I was like, "Yeah, I'm so bypassing you bitches," And there was a little boy there who was running around the room. He's 7 years old, and his mother's like, Timmy, sit down. Timmy, this isn't a park or a playground. Timmy. He's like, "But Mom, I feel fine." She goes, "If you feel so fine, then why'd you make me leave work to pick you up at school because you had a tummy ache? You wanted to miss that math test, didn't you?" And he's like, "No, I had a tummy ache." She goes, "Well, we're teaching you a lesson. Now we're in the ER." And I was like, "All right, lady."
Oh my jeez.
And everyone there looked at her like, "Are you fucking kidding me? This is a
obscene.
lesson for your child." And the great thing is the nurses, I think she must have written something down on the form that insinuated that she was BSing.
Yeah.
Because they just wouldn't take her in.
Good.
Everyone kept going ahead of her, and she was getting pissed, and he's getting pissed, and she's like, "But this is a lesson for you." And everyone's like, I almost said something.
Yeah.
But A, it's not my place. And B, I was like, now you're learning a lesson.
Yeah, right.
And B, I was so sick that I couldn't even stand up.
It wasn't on you to take care of this situation this time.
Kidneys first.
Kidneys first.
Second.
Yeah. Lessons taught to horrible parents second. Yeah.
But for people who, by the way, use the ER as their doctor because they don't have health insurance, I totally understand.
Yeah.
If you do have health insurance, please go to the doctor, not the ER.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because I know ER can be super, super expensive, and they'll hit you with a bill after the fact. So is that even a valuable solution? I feel so fortunate saying this, and it's almost like I sound
there's ways to, I shouldn't be saying this, but you can give them a fake social security number. They don't check it on the spot.
Oh my gosh.
People go to the ER all the time and give a fake name. They don't, if you have an emergency or you just need help, they don't check it on the spot. They take your word for it. You sign a paper. They don't ask for ID all the time.
Wow, I guess now I know how to avoid.
Actually, my friend's mother, who's a nurse, taught us that because her daughter married a guy who wasn't a citizen at the time.
Oh,
and he had to go to the hospital. And she goes, actually, it's so funny. She was a nurse at the place I went to yesterday, and she said, "Well, people do it all the time." And she goes, "And you know what? We don't care. You know, we get the money back from the government. We want to treat people and make them healthy. We don't care if they're immigrants. Like, people should get health care."
Yeah.
She's like, ethically, I don't care. I'm treating everyone.
Well, good for her. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what the kind of person you hope is in the ER or a medical facility. Somebody who cares first about healing the sick and helping people, and then asking questions about, like whether or not you deserve to be well.
The majority of doctors I know genuinely just love what they do, and they're not in it for the money.
Yeah.
And it's the people who are the psychiatrists who overdose and the brain surgeons who overcharge and get into it because they're whatever. But the people who are in the ER and doctors, they really love what they do.
Yeah.
If you talk to a nurse, 99% of them actually really love what they do.
That's pretty awesome.
If they're standoffish, it's because they have to put on a brave face at their job.
Right, sure. I mean, there's facets to all of it, it's but just the inherent experience you have of them being inherently awesome about their job is kind of reassuring and makes me feel a little bit better about life.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get off medical health stuff and let's talk about you.
Cool.
You know,
so I'm a lot better now.
You're a lot better now.
At least last night.
And so far in the half hour or so that we've been together today, you seem bright and perky and peppy, and
Thank you.
That's
It's the
the
Cipro
norm.
and the Percocet.
The Cipro and the Percocet are doing their jobs, and everyone is all the better for it.
Yes.
So you and I met each other probably, I don't know, how many years ago? 4 years? Something like that?
4 years.
Yeah. And I've got doing a show called Accomplice, which I've talked about a few times on this show. In fact, I've had some of the cast members, other cast members on the show before, which was cool. But I've seen you and I was a guest on your podcast. Yes. We'll talk about your podcast. But this is a chance for me to kind of get to know you a little bit better, because I don't know a lot of details about like life before 4 years ago for you.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Man, I was a mess.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in the Bronx.
Okay, in the Bronx. This is my first Bronx guest.
No way.
Yeah.
Grew up on Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx, New York.
Now, for those who are outside of the general area, people might know the South Bronx, and then that's it. You know,
no,
but where
know
are you from?
They know Riverdale,
yeah,
and they know the South Bronx.
Okay, yeah.
I'm from in between.
In between.
So I didn't grow up in the rich area. I didn't grow up in the very poor area.
Right.
I grew up in this sort of mixed section that was Irish, Puerto Rican. Yeah,
most people don't know about those sections of the Bronx, do they?
The Bronx is really fascinating. There's so many different kinds of neighborhoods. It's a beautiful place. A lot of my friends are moving out there because the rent is cheap and the transport's not that bad.
No, compared to some of the places way out in Brooklyn or Queens, it's comparable at worst. Yeah. You know. So what was life like growing up in Queens? I mean, in Queens, in the Bronx.
You know, it was weird when I found out that I didn't live in Queens. No, so, this is fun. One of my favorite memories is people don't know that growing up, the Bronx had a 212 area code with Manhattan, and Queens, Brooklyn, and Staten Island had 718.
Right.
And one of the saddest days of my life was when I found out that we were switching this. I was like, but now we're like them. And like, it was so weird. I was like, we're like Manhattan, right? And I had to dial more digits to call my friends. It was so weird. But yeah, no, it was fine. We grew up in a little co-op building right next to Bronx Science. If people know where that is, that's where I ended up going to high school.
Okay.
I could walk to Bronx Science. Bronx Science is a magnet school, which means anyone from the city can apply to go there. You take a test to get in. There's 3 schools: Stuyvesant, Brooklyn Tech, and Bronx Science. And it's basically the option of going to a better school if you're districted in an area where there's no good schools and you can't afford private school.
Where would you have gone if you didn't?
I would have gone to Kennedy, which is a really, really crappy school.
Okay.
So I basically had to get in. And also, so the point is, most people who went to Bronx Science traveled for 2 hours to get there.
Yikes.
People came from Staten Island and Queens and Manhattan and everywhere in Brooklyn to go to Bronx Science. And I was one of the lucky people who actually lived 5 minutes walking distance. So
that's pretty cool.
I made friends pretty quickly. You're like, oh, you want to study after class? Oh, can I sleep over? Because these people didn't want to.
They didn't want to do the 2-hour trip home at night.
So one of my best friends is actually a girl who, and I mean, we are best friends for a reason, but I remember her staying at my house a lot. And it's because she lived in Queens. And I was like, why don't you just sleep over? To the point where my mother thought we were dating. She sat me down one night. She goes, you know, I understand you and Sharda have been spending a lot of time together. I was like, yeah, she's the best. Because she'd sleep in my bunk bed with me.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We'd sing songs together every night and do homework together.
The kind of stuff girlfriends do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus,
when you're intimate with a person.
Plus, I was too scared of boys, so I wasn't dating. And also, nobody liked me. So, and so she said, you know, if you have anything you want to tell me. I was like what? She's like, you know, I just want to let you know if you have feelings for her. I was like, oh, I love her, you know.
Oh, my gosh.
She's like, you know, like in that way, I just want to. And I was like, whoa. I mean, nothing against, you know, anything. But I was like, you think we're dating? She's like, I just know, you know, you're not really into boys. I was like, Mom.
That's very progressive of your mom.
My mother is very progressive.
What does your mom do?
She's a psychologist.
Okay, so she's primed to ask that kind of question.
Like, I wish I was attracted to my best friend. I wish we could date, but it was so sweet of her. I was like, that's really sweet of you, but, you know, and I was in a sad place because I really like this boy who didn't like me back. So I was like, no, there's a boy I like who doesn't like me. And she was like, well, maybe you shouldn't like boys then.
Your mom was really pushing for it.
She loves Sharda. She actually, at the hospital yesterday, her and Sharda visited me together.
Oh,
my mother and her, they got along really well. So I think
that's awesome.
My mother just wants me to marry her.
How long? Well, let's not close any doors.
Hey, listen.
But let's keep an open mind here.
It's always open.
Yeah. Then Sharda, when did you first meet this Sharda?
We were 14, and she was like the Ferris Bueller of Bronx Science. She was the most popular girl. It was a gigantic school, but everyone knew who she was, and she was in every social circle, the jocks, the nerds, the geeks, the whatever. Like, everyone loved Sharda. She was famous and just an amazing person. And I sort of admired her from afar. So one day I was going alone I was part of NARAL, the National Abortion Rights Action League. And there was a march on Washington for...
Now, wait, let's put a timeline on that, though. That was not when you were 14 that you were part of the National Abortion...
Yes, I was.
You were?
I was.
Wow.
I was super progressive. My mother was very liberal. And so I would protest and go lobby Washington and have people sign petitions and stuff.
Man.
Super huge feminist.
At 14, I was still playing G.I. Joes.
That's hilarious. No,
My biggest fear was that Cobra was going to take over.
My biggest fear is that the government would take over my vagina. And they did.
We had very different growing up. We had different 14-year-old lives, to say the least.
To think, thinking back, I'm like, you're right. That is so funny. I was 14 going on this march.
Yeah.
And my mother gave me money to go to the bus to Washington by myself. With the chapter from Bronx Science, but I didn't really know everyone very well. But I was like, whatever. I knew some people. And I get on the bus and I'm sitting by myself. Because I was a little bit shy. Like, my parents had gone through this awful divorce years earlier, and I went through this really rough patch in junior high, and I didn't have a whole lot of friends. And in walks Sharda, and she's walking down the aisle of the bus, and I was like, oh my God. And it's like when you see a celebrity, you're like, oh my God, are they going to sit next to me? Are they gonna sit? And she sat next to me, and she's like, hi, you're Katharine, right? And I was like, and I'm like... fangirling on her, and I was like, you're Sharda, I know who you are. And she's like, can I sit here? And I was like, yeah, do you want the window seat? Like, what? And she's like, no, I'm fine.
Wow. And
that was the first time we sat for 4 hours and talked on the way to Washington. We marched together. We had a sign that said Nerds for Choice. And we took the bus back, and I think that was the first night she slept over because it was late, and I was like, come stay at my place. I found out now that does work to get guys to you in your apartment. If you're out with them on a date and you're like, oh, it's late, come back to my place. That works.
Wow, there you go. You see, it worked here. You finally realized how to work the system.
Figured it out.
That's very good.
But yeah, so that's how we became best friends.
Aw, well, that's very. I mean, it's great to have a friend that you were so close with back then, and then it stayed with you for life.
Yes.
A lot of people aren't that lucky.
I feel very lucky.
That's awesome.
We work on our friendship all the time. Like, we've definitely had rough patches and like great times, and she's been there for me like every time, and I'll be there for her whenever
that's great.
She needs, and I love her.
Good. Well, I didn't expect to get so emotional so early in this.
Well, podcast. I didn't expect you to start cutting onions under my eyes. That was weird.
I like to multitask. That's important, So during your high school life, did you have a notion of the idea of performing?
Yeah. So I was on the speech team, which was the only creative outlet at Bronx Science because there was no theater. And speech team, as you know, is, or some people don't know, people performing monologues and acting out scenes from plays competitively.
Yes.
So we'd go all over the country doing monologues from like Night Mother and stuff like that. I know.
Competitively, yeah.
Competitively. So Sharda joined the speech team sophomore year because I took her to a tournament once and she loved it so much she joined. So I knew I wanted to be an actor my entire life. But this was the only creative outlet I had at Bronx Science because I only went to Bronx Science, not because I liked science, but because it was the only high school close to me that wasn't terrible.
Yeah, of course.
So that was that. And then when I went to college, I started doing theater and improv immediately.
Let's go back first. You said you knew you wanted to be an actor your whole life. What was the earliest memory of like, hey, that's what I wanted to do?
Oh, easy. I saw Annie when I was 6 years old on Broadway. Mm-hmm. And I remember
Who was Annie at the time?
It wasn't the original. I forget. And it wasn't Carrie Bradshaw.
No, yeah. It was.
I still have the program somewhere. It was one of the later.
Okay, so it wasn't like the original or first two or three.
It was one of the first three, I think.
Oh, okay. So that's like really early in the run.
Yeah, it was pretty early.
Okay.
And I remember sitting there and these girls my age, or they looked around my age, were on stage singing and dancing. And I was like, well, I want to be doing that. Why did they get to? And my mother's like, Katharine, when you're old enough to get yourself headshots, take yourself to auditions, then you can do it. But until then, I am not going to be a stage mother. And I was like, fine. And I did. So the first time I booked something, I was 17. I was home. No, I was 18. I was home from the first year of college. back in New York, I auditioned for an off-Broadway show. I got the part, but I had to use my mom's phone number because I didn't have cell phones back then.
Oh, of course.
And I got a phone call from my mother, and she goes, I just got a call from the director of Midsummer Night's Dream saying you got the part. What the fuck is going on? And I was like, God. Well, Mom, remember the time when I was like 6? And you told me that when I can take myself to an audition and get my own picture done, that's what I did.
Oh, wow. Okay,
so that was the first job I had in New York City. Yeah.
Wow. That's okay. So let's piece it together, because you said you went to school, and where did you go to school?
McAllister in St. Paul, Minnesota. And
Why there?
So I love the show Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Of course. Who doesn't?
Obviously.
Yeah.
And it was filmed in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And I had a friend who went to McAllister. So I definitely applied to all the East Coast colleges, Smith and all the good schools and whatever. I didn't do very well at school, but I did well enough that I could get into some places. Mm-hmm. But I did want a place with a good theater program. And then my college counselor recommended McAllister, and I was like, ew, what's that? And he's like, well, it's in Minnesota. And I was like, where Mystery Science Theater is filmed? And then I thought to myself, and then they said there's a second biggest theater district there next to New York City. And I was like, that's amazing. Secondly, Mystery Science Theater. Third, I knew I'd spend most of my life in New York or LA. Mm-hmm. I may as well try a different part of the country for 4 years. See what happens.
Pretty forward thinking.
Yeah. So after some research,
following a theme here.
Yeah. So after some research, my mother bought me a plane ticket, and I went and stayed with my friend who went to school there. And the second I stepped on campus, I knew the energy there was amazing. The theater department was just gorgeous and welcoming. And they have a really cool policy at their department where you don't have to be a major to audition and be in every show.
Oh, that's good.
Because we want to keep it competitive, and we don't want to keep it catered. We're not a conservatory.
Right.
So my theory was, great, I won't be a major. I'll get a real degree just in case, and I'll just be in all the shows, which was great and was working out for me until senior year when they sat me down. They go, Katharine, you've been cast as a lead in every show, and you're not declaring a major. If you take this one class, you can get a minor. Why are you fucking us over? Right. Just admit that you're in the theater department. You volunteer. You've done stage managing work. Like, I've worked in the shop, in the costume shop, and I would help out. I would basically live there, but I never wanted to do a major. Why? Because I didn't want to write a thesis.
Good for you.
So I said, okay, I'll be a minor.
And what was your major in then?
Communications.
So
really, it all worked out.
If of all the people I know who had very specific degrees, yours, both major and minor, applied directly to what you're doing now. See, I wanted to more than anybody else's.
I wanted to get into journalism.
Pre-med or something.
Yeah, no, that's true. I didn't do anything like that. No, I wanted to get into journalism. Mm-hmm. But then the problem is I started doing improv. And then that's where I really focused. When I graduated, I focused more on improv than...
All right, so you get to the city. Yeah. You hit the ground running with Midsummer Night's Dream.
Right.
And that was off-Broadway.
It was off-Broadway, but it was a pretty big deal at the time. And this is in between freshman and sophomore year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. You were 17.
Or sophomore, it was something like that.
Yeah, so you were still in college at the time.
Yes.
So when you finished
a summer production.
Did you do anything else in the city during your college years, or was...
No, that's not true. I was in another show that was terrible this second year after that. I got Backstage Magazine when I got out of college and came to New York and was like, all right, and I auditioned for this play and I got the part and it was awful. And then I was like, ooh, I don't ever want to do theater ever again.
And have you since? Like in a traditional sense?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
all right.
And actually going back to Sharda, I'm never forget, she saw the show and it was so bad. And I was sobbing afterwards. She's like, Katharine, she's like, the show was terrible. But she goes, but you're so amazing. Like, you're so brave and you're so talented and don't let this show get you down.
Yeah.
And I was like, but it was so bad. She's like, yeah, but you didn't write it.
Yeah, it's great advice because, if you're afraid of doing a terrible show in New York City, you're never going to get your start.
Oh, my God, you guys.
You have to kind of do like 4 or 5 awful shows right in the beginning.
Even after you, quote unquote, start to be picky or can be picky, you're still going to get cast in something that you think is good. And then you walk in the first rehearsal. Uh-oh.
Yeah, this is going to suck.
That happens still.
I mean, there are major motion pictures that you can get, a decent part in and think this is the best thing that ever happened to anybody and find out later that it's just an awful movie. So,
and there's times where I've been cast in something I go, this is going to suck. And then it opens and then it's like, oh, was that really good? Or is it just, whoa, this is a good show.
They say we are our own worst critics, but I think it's also we are everybody else's worst critics.
I think that's just called being a critic.
I guess so. You said you got into improv. Where did you first find improv? Well, you found it in school, but then here in the city.
Yeah, so what happened was I got to McAllister and there was no improv group in McAllister. So I started one with a friend.
Oh.
And it's been going strong in 2015. It'll be 20 years.
Wow.
That the group's been around. I know I'm aging myself.
You co-founded it.
I co-founded it. And last year I went out there for a huge anniversary show they were doing. And it was insane. And I met a girl in the group who, when I said this was the date of our first show, she said, "Oh my God, that's my birthday." Her actual birthday to the year.
Oh, you mean one of the kids who was in the show now?
In the group now who was born on the day that we first performed on campus.
Holy cow.
Which shows you how old the group is.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
That you just made me feel super, super old, man.
I know. How do you think I felt? Because I was doing shots of tequila with them in a college house, and I was like, "What am I doing?" And I said, "I could have been your mother."
Yeah, technically.
Like
on a technical level, you could have. Wow.
Yeah.
Holy.
I know.
Yeah. I guess life goes. We're traveling on this big rock, and time just passes.
Yeah. So she tells me, she goes, "It's so funny." So January 8th or February 8th, 2015. That was my birthday. And I said, "Oh, it's so funny because February 8th, 1995, I gave birth to a little girl, gave her up for adoption, and then performed in the improv group." "Oh my God, is that you?" And sorry, I got the dates wrong originally there.
That's fine.
I just got the hospital, you guys.
I got the gist. It was good.
Okay.
So
anyway, so I founded the school's improv group. We were terrible the first 2 years. But we started taking classes. We went to Chicago. We went to Second City, Chicago City Limits. We would take classes with these great Piven Theater Company, and we got better. Mm-hmm. And then we became really good. And
you had access to Chicago, which is really cool about being in Minnesota. Was anybody you were with up in Minnesota? Did anybody continue on? Is anybody still in the business? Or
oh yeah, in the improv group or
either or?
Actually, it's funny. Several people from Bronx Science speech team are very famous now. We have Maggie Siff. She's on Sons of Anarchy, and she was in season 1 of Mad Men, Rachel Menken, and Porva Betty, who you wouldn't recognize her unless you saw her, but she's been in everything.
Wow,
she's an amazing actor. And then from McAllister, most of the people from the improv group went on to do either comedy, stand-up, commercial acting work. You'd recognize some people, or producing and directing. That's
a pretty amazing to think about, because it was something that didn't exist before, but obviously there was a hunger for it back then. Yeah. And in 95, the notion of improv was very different from what it is today. What
changed?
Did you guys start as short form, or? We
started as short form and we ended doing long form, and now they do mostly long form, because back then the Herald wasn't around. The UCB was only starting, so we were doing only what was sort of available, but we still did some weird things and experimental things, and push the limits a little bit.
Cool. And then in New York, how did you get started? So I
started doing UCB, and then met a bunch of people doing other projects as well, and then started in a group. Leslie Mizell?
I know. She and I are Facebook friends, but I don't think I've ever met her personally. She
was the first person I did improv with in New York City. Became really good friends. We worked together for years, and I was actually a bridesmaid at her wedding.
Oh, very good.
Crazy. Wow. And now I see her at auditions all the time, and she just had a baby.
Wow.
So I started doing improv, and then I got really into sketch comedy, and then I started doing theater again because I miss theater. And then I started doing film because I miss film. And then I stumbled into this group that I became a member of for 7 years, Naked in a Fishbowl.
Yeah, okay.
Which is the first and only, as far as I know, episodic, unscripted sitcom that was also the first video podcast on Apple.
Is that true?
Yes.
You guys were the first video podcast on Apple?
Yeah.
Wow.
We were. January 1st, because we got a word from somebody who worked at Apple. They were like, "Oh, because we recorded our show." So it was an episodic sitcom with the same characters every week, recurring storylines, and we would just get up on stage and just do whatever. But we would make it was like a long form improv, but in the form of like playing the same characters.
Yeah.
And we filmed it every week just to watch it back and take notes and get better. And then we started filming it 3-camera style, like a sitcom, and then making clips of it, and just for like promotional purposes. And then we decided to put it up on iTunes. We're like, oh, you can do it for free? Okay. And it was for free on iTunes. Mm-hmm. And then it grew and grew. And then YouTube came out. We started putting clips on YouTube. And then that was a great way to promote it. And then we now have episodes on Amazon.
That's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Wow.
I'm also the first actor to get their SAG membership through the new media contract.
Wow.
Because word got out that we were putting our stuff from the theater. Mind you, this is a theater show. This is an improv show with a live audience that was put on iTunes. And SAG, one of the girls in the show was in SAG. SAG came after us and said, are you paying these actors SAG rates? And we were able to work it, that we were getting paid, but we were able to work it that they could prove that, well, no, but can these actors join SAG? Because they all want to join. Who doesn't want to join SAG?
Of course, yeah.
This was my in. I was trying to do extra work and all that stuff.
Oh my gosh.
And they said, yeah, they can join SAG if you can prove that you'll be paying them this much. And we're like, yeah, sure. But at this point, SAG didn't know what they were doing.
No.
They were just trying to be badasses because, I know what happened. There was an article about us in Variety and all these things. And then SAG read it and they were like, wait a minute. Their faces are on the screen, even though it's a theater show. So I got my SAG. So they said, come in, have your meeting. When you get your SAG, you have a meeting with them and you get the money and then congratulations.
Right.
So because I was the first one to make her appointment, the other two actresses in the show who didn't have their appointments came 2 days later. I can say I was the first actor who got the SAG card through the new media contract.
So
I don't know.
You're at the forefront of a lot of big important things.
I also don't know if people can still do that. They made an exception for this show. I don't even know if that still happens.
I don't know. I've done
either.
a couple projects like using the new media contract. I'm not 100% sure if that makes somebody SAG eligible or not.
Exactly. And I don't think it still does, but they were panicking back then. I guess somebody went on them and were like, what are you going to do about this? And they were like trying to make a point, which is great because then I got to join SAG.
Yeah.
So then because of SAG, I got to join Equity. So I got my theater card from doing a theater show that was filmed. So I got a SAG card so that I get my Equity card so I could do theater.
That's insane.
Makes no sense.
That's awesome. Now, who was involved in the Naked in a Fishbowl?
It was myself and, there a lot of different actors were involved. Okay. So, and it went through a lot of different changes. It was originally called What Women Talk About, and then it would change producers, and then it became Naked in a Fishbowl. We did the Fringe Festival. That's when it really took off. And then, and then we finished it a couple years ago because one of the girls in the show got pretty sick, and we decided, what? Let's take a break. We've been doing this for many years. We were doing comedy festivals and touring a lot and stuff, and did Edinburgh, and it was amazing.
Wow.
But we decided just we've been doing this for years. Let's take a break and see what happens. And we're going to do a reunion show soon.
That's good. But when's the last time you guys did it?
It would be, we were about to do the Women in Comedy Festival in 2012 when the girl got sick. So it was 2 years ago. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
It was really fun.
I knew that you had a podcast, but I didn't realize that you had kind of broken ground with podcasting.
I didn't either until talking to you just now. I didn't even think about that.
That's pretty, it is really a huge, it's not just trivia.
Yeah.
Because it changed, it is now what the world is trying to do.
Yeah. We weren't the only show, period, but we quite literally were the first video podcast show. Which is,
you look at it now, iTunes, what you were doing preceded YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Which is
YouTube
crazy
didn't come out
to think about.
2006 or something like that.
Yeah, and that's insane to think about. And the fact that you even had the technology to do it on a regular basis is its own,
I don't know how they did it.
Yeah.
I just know it got done.
Wow. So, and then you take that a step further and think okay, with Netflix and Amazon Instant and Hulu, now the goal is to create essentially
anyone can
video
produce
podcasts.
A show, which is great.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The industry's changed so much since when I went to school and they were like, here's what you do to be an actor. You got to train really hard and work. No. Get to know the right people and write your own stuff. That's it.
Yeah,
it's all about connections. I'm sorry. Talent is a part of it.
Right.
But dedication and hard work is really most of it.
I've repeated this a few times now that somebody I know who is well respected in the business said, this was a few years ago now, more than a few years ago, that they're not looking to hire actors anymore. They want to find producers. They want to find creators so that they can bring somebody in with a fully formed idea and just plug it in and let them go.
Yeah.
Because assembling,
it's easier.
assembling all the parts to produce something of disparate people getting together and hoping that something good comes out of it is much, much harder. So finding somebody who's already got a voice, has already got a self-realization about who they are and what they are, it's much, much easier, like you said. So,
and also people like working with people that they know. So you can walk into, so many times I've got an audition for a big show for like a very tiny part, and I've killed it, and my manager calls me and goes, they said he did a great job. Unfortunately, they really want to cast their friend, which is fine, because it's like, someday I will be that friend.
Yeah, well, that's true.
I'll be that friend who's not as good as the person auditioned before me, but the person will be like, I want to work with Katharine because I know her.
Right.
So it's like, it goes both ways.
Yeah, no, it's true. You can look at it as either something as a negative or a challenge, or you can embrace it and say, okay, I'm going to be the person who gets to hire my friends.
Exactly.
So I guess, take it as a positive, and learn to make the best of it. And
exactly.
Do your thing.
And I'm not trying to be like negative or anything, but that really is the way it is in the business.
No, it is. You're not, I don't think you're being negative or positive. I think you're just simply stating fact is that the way of the world now is to get things done on your own. We have more access, more capability. I think of myself, and if I have one regret, is that I wasn't born like 15 years later.
Because I totally agree.
If you combine all the stuff I wanted to do with the wherewithal to get it done. I'm talking like when I was like 15, 16 years old, all the way through like my mid-20s. I would have been prolific just because I had time on my hands.
Do you know how many like sketches I wrote and like that were amazing that will never be filmed because they were done like 20 years ago or something?
Right.
And also I had the cutest dog that died right around the time the internet boom was happening. I would have made so much money off of his videos.
Oh, you would have
been the new grumpy cat. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's too bad.
I just want to adopt a cat just to make money on the internet.
Isn't it kind of, that's the downside. If there is a negative to what we're talking about, it's that goddamn cat makes more than I make. It makes more than a day than I can make in a year right now. And that's so annoying.
How many times have you clicked on a cat video?
I'm not a cat person.
Oh, see, it's all my fault then.
It is your fault.
I know. I'm one of those
You and
people.
your goddamn video podcast.
I know.
Speaking of podcasts, now you and I didn't realize this. We also share in common the fact that we went to school for communications.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So did you study TV and radio? Is that?
Yes, I wanted to be a journalist, and I interned at a TV station in Minnesota. And
just like Mary Tyler Moore.
Yes, exactly. It was just like that. Oh man!
Did you? I mean, what I was going to ask is you did radio stuff at the school?
Not
or did
really.
you take? No, okay.
I didn't really. Yeah.
Because the irony of it is that you and I both went and got communications degrees, and then the communications world, as we were taught it, completely and utterly changed. I mean, radio is a completely different beast from what it was when I was first learning how to do a radio show in college. And then I thought, well, I'm obviously never going to get a chance or I'm never really going to want to go sit behind a mic and talk into it anymore because the radio business is just stupid and it's falling apart and nobody can have a career in it. Yeah. But I'm sitting here talking to you, a fellow communications manager, talking into a microphone.
I always wanted to be a radio host, like deep down when I heard DJs on the radio. I was like, oh, I totally want to do that. And now you can. Yeah. It's so fun.
Yeah. So you started your own podcast. It was the first one you started was which?
Tell the Bartender.
Tell the Bartender. Tell me about Tell the Bartender.
So I wanted to do a podcast because podcasting was taking off and it was so easy to do. And I love hearing the sound of my own voice. Not joking. So when I used to bartend, and I still do occasionally, I would always challenge myself whenever someone would come in, if they seemed like a boring person or they were keeping to themselves. I was like, I'll bet you I'm going to find out the most interesting thing about that person. So I'd start talking to them, and wouldn't you know it, I got some of the craziest stories coming out of them. Like this one woman, it turns out her father invented pop rocks.
Wow.
I know, right? You never know it if you didn't talk to people at bars, and they have these stories that just come out once they get a little drunk or whatever, or they feel comfortable with you. Yeah. And so I wanted to do a storytelling podcast, but I listened to a lot of Radiolab and The Moth, and I love The Moth. But the thing I don't like about The Moth is it started out as like anyone can get on stage, a janitor, da-da-da. And now it's very competitive, which is fine. I love what they do.
And just to be clear for somebody who might not know, The Moth is, was it monthly?
I think it's monthly. It's all over the place now, though.
Yeah, it started off as just a storytelling show that people would go see live, and then they created a podcast out of it.
Yes.
And like you said, now it's like big name actors want to like elbow their way in there.
And you have to have a name to be a part of it.
Right, which kind of takes away the initial spirit of it, which is that everybody's got an interesting story to tell.
But also, how many people are actually going to get up on stage and tell that story? Right. So they'll tell it into a mic if it was somebody they trust, me, but they won't get up on stage because they have stage fright. Most people's biggest fear is public speaking, but they have the best story. So for example, the one story that inspired me to finally do it was I used to work for a guy in a restaurant. His name is Ted. And he, 40 years old, he's a restaurateur, owns like 11 places in the neighborhood. Very liberal, metrosexual, you know, gets facials and stuff, you know, whatever. He grew up, he was adopted. He was raised by a nun. He was very, very cool.
It sounds like a great story already.
It gets better.
Okay.
So at around age 40, he's like, I kind of want to find my birth father and mother. So he put out a call to some people and they go, oh, you know, this is years ago. We don't this and that. And then all of a sudden he gets a phone call at his place of business. And they said, are you Ted Mann? I can use his name because it's a public story.
Okay.
And he goes, yes. They go, okay, well, your birth father wants to meet you. I'm calling from whatever organization, a personal private investigator or something. And he goes, well, I'd love to meet my birth father. And they're like, here's the thing. Your birth father is a famous musician and very public. And we'll tell you tomorrow. And turns out his birth father is Ted Nugent.
Oh, my God. So oh my gee, wow.
He told me the story. He only did one interview with the New Yorker about it. So there's a whole piece about it.
Wow.
But he's telling me the story. And I said, Ted, would you ever go on the Moth or tell the story? He goes, I would never get up on stage. And then it hit me. I went, that's it. That's my show.
Yeah.
My show is getting stories from people who are too scared to get up on stage. Now, have I had people on the show who've been on stage? Yes.
Yeah,
do I do a stage version of it? Yes.
Yes.
That's, you know, because everyone has a story. But I do try to seek out people who would never normally tell their story. So he did come on my show and tell the entire story. It's episode 7 called I Didn't Know I Was Nugent. And he proceeds to talk about meeting Ted Nugent, meeting his entire extended family of 5 half siblings, and he has another whole sibling.
Oh, wow.
So Ted Nugent was 17, gave up for adoption his first son, named him Ted.
Oh, my God.
To the nun, and then stayed with the same girlfriend, had another baby, gave her up for adoption. So he has a whole sister. So he talks about meeting her and like,
oh my God.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
That's crazy. And just the ideological differences between Ted Mann and Ted Nugent.
Yeah. So we talk about that in the podcast too, about politics. And he brings up some really interesting points. And I never thought I'd agree with Ted Nugent on anything. But if you listen to the episode, there's like 1 or 2 things I'm like, oh.
Wow.
Mostly about me like being vegan and Ted Nugent also thinking factory farming is disgusting, which is why he only raises his own animals. I'm like, oh.
It's not as different as you think.
On that. Yeah, like he's like, I raise and kill my own food because restaurants are disgusting. I'm like, I mean, restaurants aren't disgusting in general, but like
his thought is that.
Yeah, he actually says Ted Nugent says to Ted Mann, you know, I mean, people are bragging about going to Nobu. Do they know that fish suffocate when they die? I'm like, Ted Nugent says that? Meanwhile, Ted Nugent says awful things.
Yeah.
But I was like, I can't believe we agree on that. That's bizarro.
Yeah, well, you find common ground between anybody. I guess that's the idea of your podcast. And when you said that, it was interesting to me because I've been listening to like a bunch of different podcasts lately. Some of which I zero in on. It's like, boom, I'm with you. Mm-hmm. Some of them I just lose where they're taking us. Why are we listening to this? And I think what you said was you found the thing that made your podcast make sense to you.
Yes.
Without that, I think you really can't do a podcast. I mean, there are comedians who have like really successful shows because they're just really good at talking about anything. But there's a lot of podcasts out there that just don't have that sort of singular focus that doesn't necessarily overwhelm the entire presentation. But without that little thing that says, okay, this is what I want to go try to find.
Right.
You miss it, you know. Yeah. So when did you start that podcast?
Oh gosh, it's 2 years old now. So it would be, what month is it? Oh God, I'm so old.
We're in December, yeah.
Yeah, it's 2 years old now.
Okay.
I started around this time last year.
Wow. How did you?
2 years ago, sorry.
What did you do to get started? I mean, were you kind of like plug and play? You pretty much
literally I bought equipment and I just started finding people.
Wow.
And I just played around and recorded the first couple episodes and they were good enough to put out and I put them out.
Good for
Maddie
you.
Blake was on the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another podcaster slash actor performer.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah. So
What's it's from my own experience. Sometimes it's hard to tell exactly what your audience is or where your audience is or how your audience is. But what kind of what's your sense of your own audience?
Well, basically, here's what's the fun part. I started doing it for myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just because I thought it'd be fun. And to me, it was interesting. So at first, I was like, oh, good. I got 50 hits in the first episode. That's amazing. Where are they coming from? I have no idea. Now I've exceeded that by a lot. And I've found the audience comes from everywhere, a lot in Minnesota, which is cool because that's where I went to college.
Sure.
I have a lot of people. I guess I did some things that a guy from Afghanistan promoted, and now like a lot of troops listen to it out in Afghanistan.
Cool.
I get a lot of hits out there. I get a lot of emails from people. College kids, I get a lot of emails from college kids. I guess the kids like it. It depends on who the guest is, but then they go back and listen to other episodes, and I get a lot of fan mail from people who are like all different ages and people. It's just amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How do you go find new people to listen to your show?
A lot of times people come to me. People recommend their friends, or if I'm at a party and someone starts talking and I'm like, can I get your phone number? Is that weird? Can we?
Oh, for guests. Yeah.
Forget. I'm sorry. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, what do you do to get new people to listen?
Oh, I go on other podcasts and promote it.
That's an interesting thought.
It's all about cross-pollination.
No, I'm just kidding because you're on my podcast right now.
I'm sorry, you guys. I just got out of the hospital. So it'll only be my excuse when I say something
You'll
not
milk
funny.
that for a while, yeah.
I've been milking it for the last 12 hours. I it first took off when I went on that podcast, Keith and the Girl.
Okay, yeah, that was my next question.
Yeah, that's when I saw the stats shoot through the roof.
How did you get onto their show?
Very funny story. Keith and Hemda, who is the girl, and Keith and the Girl.
And just for anybody who's not as familiar as we might be with them, what is Keith and the Girl?
It is one of the oldest podcasts ever done. They're in their 10-year. Next year they'll be in their 10th year of podcasting. They're the ones who taught Mark Maron how to podcast. No joke, they actually taught him how. He was a guest on their show, and he goes, I want to do this. So because they're friends.
That I didn't know. That's great.
And so they've been around for almost 10 years, and they are a comedy podcast, but they bring people on who aren't comedians. They'll bring just interesting people on, and they chat about current events, and it's every day, and it's live, and they have a live chat and live cam. And and
that's a whole operation.
Yeah, after 10 episodes, it goes up behind a paywall. There's VIP shows, so that's how they make their living, is people become VIP members. They have tens of thousands of fans, and I've gotten recognized in bars from Australians.
Wow.
On vacation. They're like, excuse me, are you Katharine Heller? And I'm like, I can't do the accent. I apologize. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, we listen to Keith and the Girl all the time. You're amazing. And I'm like, what?
That's great.
I've gotten recognized more from Keith and the Girl than I have from just acting in general.
That's fantastic.
So anyway, when I was on their show, how
did you get on that show?
So I got on that show. That's a question. So when I was in Naked in a Fishbowl, Hemda's friends with my friend Molly Neffel, and Hemda would bring her now fiance Lauren to the show, and they would watch, and they'd always say hi after the show and then run away. And I'm like, that's weird. I'm a huge fan of their show. Like, I'd listen to Keith and the Girl, and I really want it, but I was sort of a big fan of Hemda, and it turns out Hemda was a big fan of mine. So I was finally at a party a couple of years ago, Molly Neffel's birthday party, and Hemda and Lauren walked up to me, and they were like, listen, we're really stoned right now. We finally got the courage to be like, we're a really big fan of yours. And I was like, I'm a really big fan of yours. And they're like, oh my God, we love Naked in a Fishbowl. And I was like, I love Keith and the Girl. And Hemda's like, want to be on it? And I was like, I'm honored. Like, I was so honored and so nervous.
That's so cool.
So excited. So I go on, and I thought I bombed, and it turns out it was great.
Oh man.
And I talked about Tell the Bartender, and I saw my stats go through the roof after that.
Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. And now you're doing some with them in March.
Yes, I'm going on tour with them.
You're going on tour with a podcast.
Can you believe that?
Yeah,
it's nuts. A tour bus and everything.
Oh, really?
We're getting on a tour bus for 2 weeks, like with the hammock sleeping beds. No joke.
You're going to be Motley Crue, only the podcast
insane version. And they're doing a documentary about it.
Wow.
Like Road Rules. I'm gonna try
you
not to
and
be the
them and who else is going to be on this tour?
Micah Fox, Mike Kaplan, Danny Hatch, Lauren Hennessy, Hemda, and Keith. A videographer, somebody who's actually taking photos, and a documentarian and a sound person.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you obviously have good relationships with at least some of those people.
Yes.
So it helps, I'm guessing.
Yes.
I don't want to,
I know all of them.
Yes, you know all of them very well.
Yes.
Some better than others?
Yes.
Yes, fair to say?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of them happens to be an ex-boyfriend. But
Which in and of itself.
But Chemda and Keith used to date.
Oh.
And also, the guy who's the ex-boyfriend is also the ex-boyfriend of another girl who's going on tour. And she and I are really good friends. So it's really funny.
You guys are like Fleetwood Mac.
We are.
That's cool. There's going to be like great stories just coming out of that anyway.
It's more like we're like the cast of Friends. It's going to be interesting.
Wow. Well, good for you. And you have another podcast.
Yes. So, same thing happened. I was recording with my friend Sally for Tell the Bartender. And afterwards we were chatting and she goes, I really enjoy, because we'd co-hosted a show called Citizen Radio before. That's another place I get a lot of hits. And it's a political show. And she's very political, but she's very funny as well. And I said, well, maybe we should do a show together. And because I'm always looking for new projects, because it's once you know how to podcast, it's so easy to do.
Yeah, it's repeatable pretty easily.
Yeah, and Sally and I always joke about being on the struggle bus. And that means you're like struggling and we help each other out. And I was like, do you want to do an advice show? Because I've always wanted to do an advice show. And she's like, yes. So it's a show called The Struggle Bus and it's a half-hour advice show. It was monthly and now it's bi-monthly because people love it.
Wow. What is The Struggle Bus? Like, what is it? To me, you just said that term. But
when you're struggling, when you're riding the bus, when you're having a rough week.
So it's a literal and a figurative.
It's a term, right?
Yeah.
So like, I'm having a rough week. I'm on the struggle bus.
Okay, got it.
Right. And now it's myself as I'm a white privileged straight woman, right? And she hosting the show, and she's a white privileged queer woman. So we are different in a little bit of ways, but the show is not as diverse as we want it to be. So we definitely want to like do more things with it. But we do give out really good advice, and we've gotten a lot of great questions about sexuality and feminism and. This one guy actually wrote in and he goes, listen, I really don't understand why women don't like to be catcalled. Can you explain it to me? I don't want to be an asshole. And we're like, no, actually, this is a really great question. So we were able to like in great depth go into that. And
that's cool.
Queer theory we talk about a lot. And we're trying to get into more topics as well. But we don't ever pretend to talk about things that we don't know about. Like we're not, African American. We're not going to be like, God, you guys, like...
Yeah,
you don't get it, so we would never talk about things that we don't feel.
That's similar. I just did a similar, spiel introducing the show about the fact that I support feminism, and I guess I could be considered a feminist, but not being a woman, it's hard for me to fully identify the struggle, and I think there are other people who could speak much better to the struggles that women go through, especially in this business.
And that's a great way to be an ally, is just to say that.
Yeah.
It's just saying, okay, like, good. I know that. I'm aware of it. And I'm like about to give you a big hug right now because I'm like, yes, that's it. That's it. You can be a feminist and be male and like be awesome. And that's it. Just listen and recognize that that's a thing and that there is a struggle. Thank you.
Oh, okay, cool. I mean, I thought it almost seems like when you say something like that, I'm glad you said that because like since I put it out into the world, it's like, was that a huge cop out or was that, was that not nearly enough?
No, it's exactly perfect.
All right, cool.
I love it when guys are like, I get it. I'm privileged and I don't understand what it's like to be you. That's all I need to hear. It's like, thank you. And it's, people like, I just had I'm doing an episode about Ferguson actually, because I do want to have other people's voices out there for people who are listeners to the show who don't get it.
Yeah.
So I have on Sean, Sean T. Andrew?
I know the name.
Voiceover guy. He has a really amazing story about the cops and also about like social media and how he's reacting to his white friends on social media. And I'll let you guys listen to the episode. It's going to be out next week because I was in the hospital, unfortunately, so I couldn't put it out this week. I'm just going to milk that. But yeah, it's the same thing as like I, as a white privileged person, like I have a lot of things I'd like to say about Ferguson, but you know what? Maybe I'm not the person to say it. And I think that's sort of...
But you can facilitate somebody else getting their opinions out. I have
an outlet for it that will reach a lot of people. So that's what I have, but now I'm going to let this person take the stage.
How do you get people to ask questions? What format does that come in? Is it just email or is it through Twitter? Or?
You mean ask questions for the Struggle Bus?
Yes, for the Struggle Bus.
Yeah, we have an email account and Twitter.
All right. And you guys get some really good feedback.
We get so much amazing feedback and questions.
Good for you.
It's been incredible. It's been really great. We had we had a guy, I talk very openly in my show, Tell the Bartender, about like, I was molested as a kid, you know, and I'm like, I had a whole show about it. Like, don't be ashamed. Like, if you don't want to talk about it, don't. But like, if you want to talk about it, do. And this guy wrote in based on that to Struggle Bus. He's like, Catherine, I heard your episode about this. So I have a question. I just started dating a woman who recently revealed to me she was molested, but doesn't want to talk about it. How do I handle it? And I was like, a great fucking question. Yeah. You know, so things like that. It's like, it makes me, am I making money off this show? No.
Right.
But like, it makes me feel good when I can give this advice and be like, that's so cool.
And that can be much more valuable than money sometimes, you know?
I mean, I'd love to pay my rent.
Of course.
My amazing value.
But isn't that what we were saying before? You do your own thing and eventually something can come out of that. But if you're sitting there doing nothing, then
exactly.
What the hell's going to happen then? You know, people aren't going to discover you sitting on your couch.
It's Dave.
There's some sage. There's some Struggle Bus advice for you right there.
That's amazing. You should be a guest advisor on this.
I think I need to get on more podcasts. That's the answer.
Occasionally, I get hate mail from guys who are like, "So what if I'm a white privileged man? Maybe I should have you on as a white privileged man giving the white privileged male advice because I can't speak for you."
I would love to be the spokesperson for white male privilege.
An amazing idea.
So let's book it. All right. One more thing I want before we wrap it up. You do these live shows of the Tell the Bartender. How does that work out? Like, it seems like you get really good response.
Yeah. So I do the live shows every few months just because I can. I don't know,
sure.
Why not? But also I want to broaden the audience, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to get a bigger platform for it. And then I get celebrities on. That's the only time I get celebrities on, because then people have to be on stage who are comfortable being on stage. And also I want to get bigger hits and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I do pay my guests, because if I have to charge at the door in any way, I always pay my guests. I will walk away. I pay my guests. I pay my co-host. I pay my videographer. I pay the sound person extra if they actually record the sound. It's happened where they haven't. And I sometimes will walk away breaking even. I don't do it for the money. I do it just for getting the show and then getting the hits afterwards.
Sure.
I very rarely made money off the live shows. My manager is mad at me for that. But so I've had really big celebrities on, but as a result, the show's gotten bigger. And then in other ways, the show's expanded and I am getting money. So I get donation. I do the show through donations as well.
Mm-hmm. I know who I've seen, and there's one fun part to that, but who have you had on the show, the live shows?
Janine Garofalo,
which is awesome.
Tate Donovan, Liz Winstead, Wyatt Cenac, Mara Wilson, Frank Koenig from Mystery Science Theater.
Which is amazing.
Dude, I lost my shit.
I'll bet.
I just lost it. I mean, listen, the only way it would have gotten better, not better, but I would have freaked out more if Joel. I mean, let's just face it, right? I mean, I'm sorry.
I mean, if maybe Tom Servo himself floated in.
Right.
Yeah, that would be the only topper
Trace
on that
Bureau,
one.
Yeah.
No, I mean, literally Tom Servo.
Yeah, I would have been dead. I would have been dead. That's it.
Tate Donovan and I don't mean to name drop, but I did a scene with him in a show.
Which one?
The Deception. Which
Damages. No.
Deception. Oh. It was like it didn't last. So it was a CBS thing that got
you
canceled.
You did a scene with him?
Yeah. and what was cool is that he's awesome.
Oh, I know him very well.
He is so cool.
Yeah.
And in the scene, he catches me taking. I'm a morgue worker, and I'm taking pictures of his dead sister in the morgue with her. Like I take pictures of her naked, and he catches me doing it, and. He's like, is it okay? I mean, like, just tell me if I'm being too rough. I'm like, dude, be as rough as you want. It's going to make it look awesome. So he literally grabbed the hell out of my shirt. And then, like, afterwards, I had like bruises on my chest. And I was so happy because it came out great. And then I went home and I said, look, honey, I brought home, I never call her honey. I don't know why I said that. Look, Steph, I have Tate marks.
I'll tell you what, Tate and I stayed in touch after the show, and we've hung out quite a few times.
I'm not surprised.
I hung out with him like 2 weeks ago.
He's so cool.
So the next time I see him, I will tell him about.
Yes, and he probably will have to provide my website with a clip of it so he can go, oh, that guy. Because he and I have not kept in touch.
It's so funny because people think celebrities are untouchable, and a lot of them are jerks. And I have had a few people on my show who were not the most professional, who, even though they're famous, I won't name names, but I will say the majority of people I've met, even though I can't pay them that much, they do my show because they love doing it. And I'm fun. And Jeanine Garofalo came back twice to do the show.
Which is great.
She just loved doing it.
That's awesome.
Like she refused to take money. I give her the money anyway, like slide it in her pocket. And then she made me a bracelet. Like it's insane. So these celebrities who, you think or whatever that are just like us, you'd be surprised at how nice they can be and how I've gotten some great advice from Tate and Jeanine about the business. Again, I just totally dropped that I can use their first names.
Hey, why not?
But
hey, I have Tate marks, okay?
But I think if I've learned anything from them, what they've taught me, which we can now tell our listeners. Sure,
and that's the idea. Is that you can name drop because you're offering advice to others.
Exactly.
There you go.
It is all about patience. It's not fair. It's not a fair business. It's about who you know. It's full of a lot of experiences. And in the interim, you always have to make your own work. I know a lot of people. Jeanine Garofalo has made her own work her entire life. Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely true. She's very rarely been in things that other people wrote. I mean, she's been in a lot of things, but most of the things she's done is her stand-up and working at it and just touring and, Good for her and good for you. We have probably 8 million different social media things and website things for people to go to for you, but let's go through them. How do people find you and your stuff? tellthebartender.com. Okay. Strugglebuspodcast.wordpress.com.
Sweet.
We're working on that, but we're also on iTunes, so is Tell the Bartender. KatharineHeller.com has not been updated in a few months, and I should really do that right now.
I understand that.
And you can tweet at me at SPK Heller. Stands for Special K Heller.
Why Special K?
That was my nickname in college. The cereal, not the drug. I've never done Special K.
Well, that's better than... I don't know what I'm trying to say there.
That's better than having done it.
Yeah, I don't know what that meant.
That's okay. Let's end the show on a weird note.
Yeah,
listen, Dave just got out of the hospital, you guys.
Yeah, I got this liver kidney thing. That I had an UTI that went untreated. There was no symptoms, but
weird.
yeah.
So weird.
Yeah, I haven't had a really good awkward end to a show yet, but I think...
This could be it.
Thanks for doing this.
Thank you so much.
That is Katharine Heller. Super cool, super unique. She's on a really interesting journey, and I think she's in for some really big things in 2015. And if you want to keep touch with what she's doing, you can go to her website, KatharineHeller.com. Now, she's a Katharine with 2 A's, so it's KatharineHeller.com. You can also find her and follow her on Twitter at SPK Heller. And if you want to check out her podcast, Tell the Bartender, you can go to tellthebartender.com. Look for the episode where I make an appearance because I once told the bartender myself. And you can also find the Struggle Bus podcast on iTunes. Thank you, Katharine, for hosting our get-together. And I look forward to hearing some big news from you in the new year. And that brings us to the final segment for the Bring Your Own Lunch podcast for 2014. I will not be doing a show next week. I've decided to take a week off so I can spend time with friends and family and loved ones because, well, with everything that's going on in the world right now, I think it's important that we all take a step back and really focus on what's most important. That's the people around you who you care about and who care about you. Yeah, I had this tradition that I started back in college where I would read, Yes, Virginia, There is a Santa Claus. And I don't mean to make it a religious thing. I certainly don't. And while there are some religious comments made during the course of this reading, I want it to be about what it was for me, which is a testament about the love within your family, whether you were related by blood or not. Because people are what really matters. And if you can find something decent in your heart to share with somebody, do it today. There's so much crazy stuff going on in the world. The people we have around us, when all the chips are down, well, that's the best thing we got. So I read this to you with the idea that no matter what happens, no matter what you do, where you go, or who you are with, I hope that next year finds you peace and happiness, because that is what this season is really all about. So I present to you, yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus.
Dear editor, I am 8 years old. Some of my little friends say there is no Santa Claus. Papa says if you see it in the sun, it's so. Please tell me the truth. Is there a Santa Claus? Virginia O'Hanlon, 115 West 95th Street.
Virginia, your little friends are wrong. They have been affected by the skepticism of a skeptical age. They do not believe except they see. They think that nothing can be which is not comprehensible by their little minds. All minds, Virginia, whether they be men's or children's, are little. In this great universe of ours, man is a mere insect, an ant in his intellect, as compared with the boundless world about him, as measured by the intelligence capable of grasping the whole of truth and knowledge. Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. He exists as certainly as love and generosity and devotion exist, and you know that they abound and give to your life its highest beauty and joy. Alas, how dreary would be the world if there were no Santa Claus. It would be as dreary as if there were no Virginias. There would be no childlike faith then, no poetry, no romance to make tolerable this existence. We should have no enjoyment except in sense and sight. The eternal light with which childhood fills the world would be extinguished. Not believe in Santa Claus, you might as well not believe in fairies. You might get your papa to hire men to watch in all the chimneys on Christmas Eve to catch Santa Claus, but even if they did not see Santa Claus coming down, what would that prove? Nobody sees Santa Claus, but that is no sign that there is no Santa Claus. The most real things in the world are those that neither children nor men can see. Did you ever see fairies dancing on the lawn? Of course not. But that's no proof that they are not there. Nobody can conceive or imagine all the wonders there are unseen and unseeable in the world. You may tear apart the baby's rattle and see what makes the noise inside, but there is a veil covering the unseen world, which not the strongest man, nor even the united strength of all the strongest men that ever lived, could tear apart. Only faith, fancy, poetry, love, romance can push aside that curtain and view and picture the supernal beauty and glory beyond. Is it all real? Oh, Virginia, in this world there is nothing else real and abiding. No Santa Claus. Thank God he lives, and he lives forever. 1,000 years from now, Virginia, 10 times 10,000 years from now, he will continue to make glad the heart of childhood. That is the response from Francis Pharcellus Church of the New York Sun in 1897. Kind of still holds up, doesn't it? Well, that about does it for another Bring Your Own Lunch. Glad you can join us. Before we go, I want to thank Banooba once again, BANOOBA.net. Go there, download some music, find out where they're going to be playing live, give yourself a present, and enjoy the music you hear because they provide a lot to this show. And, of course, you can follow us on Twitter at BYOL Podcast. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/bringyourownlunch. You can go to our website, bringyourownlunch.com, and send me a personal email, dave@bringyourownlunch.com, and I'll be happy to write you back. Stay tuned for the Jimmy Jack Cow Punch Hour, followed by Mansour and the Fish, and until 2015, when I have plenty more guests lined up. This is Dave. I'll see you next year.